The clock struck midnight, and San Francisco fell as silent as the final page of a fairy tale. Sarah, an independent illustrator, had just added the last stroke to her painting, the prince gently kissing the sleeping princess awake. The starry sky outside her window, identical to the one she had painted, and in that very instant, her world exploded. A deafening roar and a searing wave of heat threw her and her easel to the ground. The paintbrush flew from her hand, spattering a desperate splash of red against the white wall, as startling and crimson as blood. Through the choking smoke and swirling dust, a pair of gleaming, custom-made Italian leather shoes stopped in front of her. A man slowly knelt down, using a silk handkerchief embroidered with a golden letter B to gently wipe the blood and grime from her face. His movements were as elegant as if he were dusting off a priceless work of art. Then Sarah heard the voice that would drag her into hell, calm yet with an undeniable air of command. "Miss Sarah, allow me to introduce myself. Liam Black. I regret to inform you that your career as an illustrator is over." He had saved her from a sea of fire, only to clip her wings with his own hands. What secret was hidden behind this? Why would a legendary billionaire make such a cruel declaration to a common artist he had never met? The answer was far crazier than any tale of corporate warfare or revenge. This was the beginning of a story about plunder and protection. When Sarah opened her eyes again, she found herself on an impossibly soft bed, the air filled with the scent of high-end custom lilies. A dazzling crystal chandelier hung from the ceiling, refracting a dreamlike glow. This was the pinnacle of the city, Liam Black's penthouse duplex. Through the massive bulletproof floor-to-ceiling windows, the Golden Gate Bridge and the sparkling bay were in full view. However, this ultimate luxury sent a chilling cold through her. It was a magnificent cage built of diamonds and gold, a prison with a view. Liam walked in with a glass of warm water. He had changed into a well-tailored dark gray cashmere lounge suit, shedding the sharp edge of their first meeting, but appearing even more composed and unfathomable. He calmly informed Sarah that her brother, Kevin, whom she depended on, was safe. He had already used his connections to arrange everything, announcing publicly that Sarah had only suffered minor injuries in the explosion and was recuperating in a private hospital, refusing all visitors. He could even accurately state the university Kevin attended, his major in computer science, and that he had an important final exam next week. "Until you are completely safe, you can't go anywhere," Liam said, his tone flat, but leaving no room for argument. "Safe? Who is trying to harm me? What is going on?" Sarah struggled to sit up, her voice trembling with fear and anger. Liam's gaze darkened. He pulled over a velvet armchair and sat down, revealing a cruel secret that would shatter Sarah's entire world. It turned out that, before their father passed away, a desperate investment had left him, owing an astronomical sum to the ruthless real estate tycoon, Marcus Vanderbilt. And the addendum to that contract was like a devil's pact. If the debt wasn't repaid on time, Marcus had the right to take everything their family owned, including their ancestral home, the epicenter of the explosion, which held all of Sarah's childhood memories and was now priceless. So, the explosion. Sarah couldn't dare to think further, her heart tightening. Finding it hard to breathe, Marcus did it, an accidental clearing of the site. He wanted you and your brother to disappear from the world so he could legitimately take over everything. Liam's words pierced Sarah's nerves like icicles. What made her break down even more was when Liam told her that her innocent, well-protected brother Kevin, a computer genius, had been tricked by Marcus under the guise of upgrading the family security system. Kevin had unwittingly planted a backdoor in their home's fire suppression system, causing all the firefighting equipment to fail when the explosion occurred. Seeing Sarah's face, pale as a sheet, and on the verge of collapsing, a flicker of emotion finally appeared in Liam's voice, softening it slightly. "Kevin is innocent. He was deceived too. He's blaming himself now, but I haven't told him the truth about the explosion. Only that there was a severe electrical malfunction. Right now, I'm the only one who can protect you." During her days with Liam, Sarah's emotions slowly transformed from initial fear and resistance into a complex and contradictory reliance. She discovered that, although this man was cold and domineering, he possessed a strange kind of gentleness. He provided her with the world's finest art supplies and even converted a sunroom with the best light into a temporary studio for her. One night, Sarah woke up from a nightmare, her throat dry, and went to get some water, only to find Liam's tall frame curled up on the sofa outside her studio. He wasn't covered with a blanket. His brow was furrowed, and he didn't seem to be sleeping peacefully. At that moment, the solid wall of ice around her heart silently cracked. However, the seed of trust had barely sprouted before it was mercilessly destroyed by a sudden storm. That afternoon, the atmosphere in the studio was unusually relaxed. Liam had injured his arm, dealing with trouble left by some business rivals, and Sarah was carefully bandaging his wound, her eyes lowered. The sight of his tense profile in the light and a fleeting moment of vulnerability stirred something in her heart. But just then, she accidentally glanced at a file Liam had casually placed on the table. A familiar address made her pupils shrink. It was her ancestral home. It was a draft for a merger and acquisition, boldly titled Proposal for the Disposition of Vanderbilt Properties and Related Historical Assets. Highlight: Sarah's ancestral home. The document detailed, in cold business terms, how to legally absorb Sarah's home into Liam's business empire at the lowest cost. After Marcus's downfall, Sarah's heart sank to the bottom of a frozen lake. So he had saved her, only to be the oriole waiting behind the mantis, stalking the cicada. She confronted him with the document like a furious lioness. He simply looked at her calmly and said, "In business, you always need a backup plan." This cold explanation completely extinguished the warmth that had just begun to kindle in her heart. She felt betrayed by the entire world. At the same time, Marcus seemed to have located where Kevin was hiding and launched a surprise attack. To protect Kevin, Liam had to personally lead his men, leaving the mansion's security critically weakened. Sarah knew this was her only chance to escape the cage. She shattered a vase to create a diversion, successfully slipped past the guards, and disappeared into the San Francisco night. She decided she would no longer rely on anyone. She would get her revenge and save her brother her own way. When Liam returned to the empty room after resolving Kevin's crisis, he saw the window swaying in the wind and for the first time looked flustered. He knew his damn backup plan had broken her heart, but he had no time to explain. He realized that Sarah's escape had played right into another, more lethal trap set by Marcus. Penniless, after her escape, Sarah thought of a close friend of her late father, a reputable art gallery owner, who had watched her grow up. However, when she sought him out, full of hope, she was met with cold eyes and vague excuses. Soon after, Marcus's men appeared at the gallery. The so-called close friend had been bought by Marcus long ago. In a desperate chase, Sarah was cornered in a dead-end alley. Just when she thought it was all over, a black sedan screeched to a halt in front of her, with a perfect drift. The door opened, and Liam reached out his hand. "Get in!" His voice held an urgency she had never heard before. Back in the car, a long silence fell between them. Finally, Liam broke it. That document was for the mole to see. He explained that he had long suspected a spy for Marcus in his inner circle, and the file was bait. His real plan was to transfer the ownership of the ancestral home into a trust fund under Kevin's name for its permanent protection. "I'm sorry," he said in a low voice. "I'm used to thinking like a businessman and forgot to consider your feelings." His words untied the biggest knot in Sarah's heart. A bolder plan formed in his mind. He wanted Sarah to be his Trojan horse. He created a new identity for her, a mysterious artist returning from Europe with great acclaim, and arranged for her to attend a charity art gala hosted by Marcus. The plan was for Kevin to provide remote tech support, while Sarah got close to Marcus's private computer and planted a program to steal all evidence of his crimes. On the night of the gala, Sarah, dressed in a hand-stitched gown that looked like the night sky, was breathtakingly beautiful and successfully captured Marcus's attention. with Liam's calm instructions coming through a micro earpiece. Sarah cleverly maneuvered around the lecherous Marcus, getting closer and closer to his study. The tension was palpable. Every step was like dancing on a knife's edge. Just as she was about to succeed, the alarms blared. The study door locked, the lights flashed on, and Marcus walked in with a triumphant smile, accompanied by Liam's most trusted head of security. "Did you really think you could fool me?" Marcus sneered. "Your every move and your man's has been under my control." In the nick of time, Liam and his team descended, but they were held back by Marcus's heavy security outside. In this desperate moment, Sarah became calm. Her eyes scanned the walls of the study. Suddenly, pointing to a priceless painting, she said with a cold smile, "Mr. Vanderbilt, I wouldn't have expected a man of your stature to display a forgery. The background of this painting uses Prussian blue, but that pigment was invented 50 years after the original artist died." Her words struck Marcus's biggest vanity like a sword. He flew into a rage, instinctively retorting, "What do you know? The real one is in my safest place, of course." As he spoke, he walked to the painting and touched a secret panel behind it. Just as the panel opened to reveal a hard drive, Liam's team finally broke in. Sarah had used her expert knowledge as a painter and her incredible courage to bluff Marcus into revealing the true location of his criminal evidence. With all his crimes exposed, the once invincible business tycoon was utterly ruined. However, the dust from the fallen tower had not yet settled. Marcus's empire was vast and complex. News of his arrest sent shockwaves through the financial world, and his loyal, hidden followers began to stir, viewing Sarah as a thorn in their side. Just when Sarah thought she could finally welcome the dawn with Liam, he dealt her the coldest blow. One morning, he handed her a file and a black card with no credit limit. "Marcus's case has wide-reaching implications, and the Black Corporation is also under investigation. For the good of the company, I can't have any more connection to you." His voice was flat, devoid of emotion. "This trust fund will ensure you and your brother live comfortably for the rest of your lives. Forget me and live your own life." Sarah couldn't believe her ears. She looked at the man before her, his eyes holding the familiar coldness and resolve of a businessman. All the warmth, all their battles fought side by side, seemed like a joke. "So, from the very beginning, I was just a pawn you used to take down Marcus." Her voice trembled, her heart torn to shreds. Liam didn't answer, simply turning away, leaving her with his unyielding back. Heartbroken, Sarah refused the insulting compensation. She took Kevin and left the magnificent cage, renting a small apartment. She was not defeated, a phoenix rising from the ashes. She picked up her paintbrush again, pouring all her pain, struggle, and hope onto the canvas. She created a series of works based on her experience, titling it Midnight Cinnabar, and exhibited it in a small online gallery. To her surprise, the powerful emotions and vitality in her paintings deeply moved countless people online, and Sarah became famous overnight. Just as her life and career were getting back on track, danger reappeared. Marcus's most loyal subordinate, a man known as the Ghost, found her, burning with vengeance. On a rainy night, Sarah was cornered on her way home. In her moment of despair, an encrypted message arrived on her phone from an unknown sender. It contained only one sentence: "Run left. Trust the man behind the frame." She froze, remembering Liam had said he collected her paintings. Was this a coincidence, or had he never truly left? At the brink of life and death, she chose to trust her intuition. She ran with all her might into the alley on her left. Her pursuers followed closely, but the moment they stepped into the alley, a shipping container fell from above, blocking their path. Liam's figure emerged from the shadows, possessing the same absolute control as when they first met. He had never left. He had pushed her away in the cruelest way, only to make himself the target, drawing all the remaining fire to give her and Kevin true safety. He had been secretly cleaning up Marcus's mess and watching over her all along. With all threats finally eliminated, The San Francisco sun seemed exceptionally bright. Liam took Sarah back to the site of her ancestral home. It was no longer ruins. A brand new art gallery, blending classical and modern styles, stood in its place, named The Heart of Sarah. Liam took out the trust fund document that had once broken her heart and tore it up in front of her. "I'm sorry, I used the stupidest way to protect you," he said, his eyes full of remorse and deep affection. He then took out a small frame containing Sarah's first award-winning piece from college. "Actually, I've known you for many years." He told her he had anonymously bought the painting and had been her most devoted fan ever since. His fight with Marcus was initially just business rivalry, but when he discovered she was Marcus's target, the war became personal. "I can't lose you again." In the center of the gallery, he knelt on one knee and presented a dazzling diamond ring. "I've spent the first half of my life walking in darkness until your paintings, and you illuminated my world. Sarah, will you marry me and be my one and only color?" A year later, Sarah's solo exhibition at the Heart of Sarah Gallery was a phenomenal success, and Liam, the once mighty business tycoon, now found his favorite role was being the husband who stood by his wife's side, mixing her paints. Her brother, Kevin, had also become a well-known cybersecurity expert in Silicon Valley, using his skills to protect his sister's happiness. At the exhibition celebration party, Sarah quietly approached Liam and whispered in his ear, "Our world is about to have a new color added to it." Liam was stunned for a moment, then pulled her into a joyous embrace. Their child would write their own, even more wonderful story in a world filled with love, security, and art.